and welcome to the Tie Chest. Today we are talking about demystifying men's Victorian jewelry. So have you ever seen a pile of cool looking jewelry like this, but you just have no idea what the heck these things are, what they do? That's what we're going to answer today in this video. So the Victorian era is usually defined by the period in which Queen Victoria reigned, so that would be between 1837 and 1901. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to focus more on the men's jewelry that was popular at the end, so between around 1890s to the 1910s about. So one thing you need to remember about the Victorian period is that both men and women had removable collars and cuffs, and this was because it was much harder to launder a shirt back then as it was today. So usually they would wear the shirt for a couple days, but they would replace the collars and cuffs a lot more frequently, and which is the reason they were often sold separately, as you can see in this excerpt from the Eaton's Fall and Winter Catalog of 1899. So here you also see they also advertise just as many collars and cuffs for women. So here's a little synopsis of the jewelry that you may find for the Victorian man. So starting with the removable collar, you'd have a pointer collar button and a front collar button. You'd have a shirt stud, and for your removable cuff, you would have either cuff buttons or cufflinks. So let's take a look at these items. Let's start with the removable collar. You'd have a pointer collar button in the back. There'd be a little slit there, and then you would have a more decorative collar button in the front. So here is an excerpt from the 1894 Eaton's Catalog, where you see the two, they would call them collar studs, and you have some that have the lever backs, and you also have some that have a separable top as the middle one there. And on the far right, you see the pointer collar button, and you see obviously it's shaped like an arrow or a point. And this is really specific. It's really specific for the back of the collar, and it also helps to keep the tie in place, which is very interesting. So here are some more from a couple years after that. Obviously you see the pointer collar button looking very distinct from the others. And you have different styles. You have the lever collar button, the solid shank ones, the ball tops, and you also have the ones that have the top that separate. So here are a few examples of pointer collar buttons. I'm sure you would probably have seen these. They are quite common. And here are a bunch of different styles of collar buttons. Now, you will learn in this video that there is a mistake in this picture. You will probably catch on to it a little bit later, so I won't say anything more. Here are some examples of the separable top collar buttons. As you can see, there's two little notches on the sides of the top that you squeeze, and then you can just pull that top right off and then put it into in your collar buttonhole. So notice, a little hint here, notice that these separate from the top. Alright, moving on to cuff buttons or cufflinks. So here are some cuff buttons, and basically the cuff buttons are different than the cufflinks just in kind of their shape. These are a little bit bigger. They're a lot more like geometric, like they're either squares or circles, or you don't see too many ovals yet. And the backs are usually lever backs, or sometimes they're solid. So here are some examples, and you see they get a little more ornate as we near the beginning of the Art Nouveau period. You can see the influence there in the design, a lot more frilly, ornamental. So here are some live examples of collar buttons, really, really pretty ones. I love collar buttons. And then you see the more standard cufflinks. So you see there's the ball backs. You have some of the looser ones for the softer shirts. You have the bean backs. Oops. Here's some more. As you can see the evolution. There's some real live ones. More into the 1900s, you'll start to see the solid mother of pearl ones, like the white one in the middle there. That moose one on the far right top is probably made of silver, but it's not marked. And now we go on to shirt studs. Now notice these shirt studs. These are a lot smaller, and notice, hint hint, that these separate, but they separate from the bottom. So again, you see they get a little more ornamental. So here is the nugget in this video. Notice how the top 3 studs are much bigger than the bottom. The top 3 are for the collar, and the bottom 4 are the shirt studs. And notice how those open from the bottom, not from the top. And that's how you can differentiate them. So anyways, I hope you learned a little something in this video. And if you love men's vintage jewelry as much as I do, make sure you check out our website at thetieChest.com. We specialize in men's vintage jewelry and accessories, as well as collectible neckties. Thanks for watching.